this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is BlackWestchester.com presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, every Sunday 6 to 8 on INTHEMIXXRADIO.com. I am your host, AJ Woodson. Damon K. Jones is not here today. I have the lovely Lorraine Lopez with me. Dr. Bob is sitting out this week. Shout outs to Omi Medina, Glenn Butler, Alita Johnson, Tanya Van Norman, Wayne Robinson Sr. What's up, cousin? Tanya said, awesome, AJ. Who else is on the check-in? Hold on. I got everybody so far. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Let me put Lorraine on the screen real quick. There we go. There she is. What's going on, Lorraine?
What's going on, AJ?
All right. Yo, so bottom line is we had this Spano watch. And today is the
I wonder
day.
if we're still going to have
Today is the day he is actually supposed to show up. Not sure if he will, but he has scheduled to come on today.
Yeah.
So it's either going to be me and Lorraine just talking about everything.
Plus, we got a guest co-host.
Oh, and we have a guest
way.
co-host on our way. Tasha Diaz from Yonkers is coming in the guest co-host. So it's either going to be the three of us just talking about what's going on, or we're going to have an interesting conversation with Mayor Spano talking about the issues of Yonkers. And everybody in Yonkers is welcome to call in at 718-705-4959 if you have any questions or comments, or you can leave it into the Facebook, any comments or questions you have for Mayor Spano if he shows up. What were you saying there, Lorraine? I didn't see.
The key. Don't forget about my key.
The key. Oh, yeah. We got to bring that up. Absolutely. Shout out to the Future Society. Shout out to Marvin Church. Had a very long, interesting conversation with Marvin earlier. Always keeps me on my toes. Make sure I know what's going on in certain circles. Shout out to him. So we had a lot of things going on. We just had the last week we had a pre-primary edition episode of People Before Politics, and we had 3 candidates on. We had Attorney General candidate Tish James. We had senatorial we had Andrea Stewart Cousins running for re-election.
Yeah.
And we had state senate candidate
Alexandria
Biaggi, who was running for Klein's seat. And I am happy to announce
3 for 3.
3 for 3. All 3 candidates won their race. Oh, I got to get her to turn that on. She didn't turn that on. I might need you to get her. All 3 candidates won their race. And that was a very good look for us. And we congratulate all 3 candidates.
We had an awesome time in Andrea's victory party.
Oh, actually, absolutely. And shout to Biaggi. She ran a heck of a race. She upset
Senator Jeff Klein.
One of like maybe the most powerful,
the leader of the pack,
one of the most powerful men in New York Democrats, in politics, and also the leader of the IDC, and I believe I can announce all members except one of the IDC are no longer in the state Senate. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing in itself. So yes.
Congratulations to all that helped them, including Indivisibles.
Right. Keep talking for a second. I need to get her.
Including Indivisibles, all the progressives that were helping out. A lot of folks just didn't want to hear the opponent. What the opponent had to say, because they were sticking to Andrea regardless, and they did, and she won by 83 to 17%. Amazing numbers. Amazing numbers, because where I come from, when you win 65% of the vote, you consider it to have won with a very large margin. And I looked at all the numbers from all the candidates, and Andrew is actually the one that came in with the highest percentage, which was, like I said, 83%.
Yes.
Oh, okay. They want me to keep on going. So anyway, AJ and I went to the victory party, and I got to see a lot of my old friends. Lou Picani from 456 was there. I got to see him. I got to see Ken Jenkins, who I've known for over 30 years. I got to see a lot of my good old friends, and we had a really, really good time. It was one hell of a victory party. 82%. Could you believe that? She got the highest out of all the percentage. That was an applause for Andrea, by the way.
Yeah, for all the candidates.
The candidates, yeah. But I'm more focused on Andrea because I've known her practically all my life. But Piaggi was what a pleasure it was to get to know her when she came to the show. Tish James was also great meeting her when she came to the show, and I'm so glad that you were victorious with your pre-election campaign, yes, or what you had going on.
The pre-primary show,
yeah. The pre-primary show.
Yeah, I'm just amped for all the candidates. I'm amped that Biaggi dethroned Klein. I'm amped that the IDC is disbanded. I mean, they could always find new members, but right now that they're disbanded and their leader is out of there. And I wonder, Chris Hayes from MSNBC had an interesting tweet that I thought was quite interesting.
What was it?
I'm going to pull it up right now so I can read it. So he said, so quintessentially, Cuomo, that he basically got the IDC Dems to form in order to give himself cover, then disbanded them when the political winds shifted, and they got their asses kicked, and he skates to a third term. That was Chris Hayes from MSNBC. I think that was definitely very appropriate. I shared that on my page.
And Cuomo said, okay, so you got rid of 7 Democrats and replaced them with 7 more Democrats. Basically, nothing's changed.
Well, yes, because Andrew Stewart, so we need at least one more, one of the Republican seats to turn Democrat. And if that happens in November, Andrew Stewart Cousins will make history as the first African-American woman, the first woman, period, to be the New York State majority leader in the Senate.
Yes.
And that's huge. Alex Sanabria?
Alex Acaro Sanabria. Hello, Alex. How you doing?
Said hello to Lorraine. I apologize for not being able to pronounce your name correctly. Shout out to my dude, Monty Whitaker, and Prince George County, Maryland, tuned in. Shout out to Charles Stern. Yeah, Charles, we need to talk offline. I got to get you scheduled. We got the whole month of October free. Need you to pick a week, the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Sunday in October so you can come on the show. We can talk politics. I know you have your thing that you put out, the Red Blue Talk. You have some interesting topics, and we need you to come and discuss. We can talk about politics and everything going into the November election. So we definitely need to have you on. You let me know what's good for you the second, third, or fourth Sunday in October. So yeah, this was definitely a great primary. Again, congratulations to all the winners. And kaboom, guess who stepped up in the room? Cal. Yeah, we got the lovely guest co-host, Tasha Diaz in the place to be.
Hey, Tosh.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, your mic is on. You need to pull it close to you so we could actually hear you.
Hello, everyone.
So I'm here with my two lovely co-hosts, and we're waiting to see if
he's supposed to be. He's scheduled for 6:30.
Oh, okay. So we're going to see if he shows up at 6:30. Charles Stern, yes, hello. Wow, I got that on very loud. Hello, AJ and Lorraine. Got it. Thanks so much. Yeah, just let me know, Charles, second, third, or fourth Sunday. Whichever one, let me know. We lock you in, and we'll discuss the political climate in New York and everything going on. So even though everybody came out for the primaries. Oh, also shout out to Jumaane Williams. Yes. Even in his loss, he got well over 600,000 votes.
Wow.
He killed it in New York City.
Yes, he did.
I think he had 55% of the vote in New York City alone, of just New York City, the boroughs. It's probably the upstate votes where the other candidate got more. But he's still over 600,000 people voted for him in the state, and he posted a video on Twitter, and it was very emotional because at the end, a young man who has Tourette's came up to him, and he said, "Listen, I have Tourette's. I thought that counted me from being being involved in politics or anything like that. But seeing you gives me hope that I know that I could be in politics too." And he said that's
sweet.
what it's all about. He said inspiring other people. And he was even a little misty-eyed when he was telling the story. He was emotional telling the story. So, and I got to give him credit. I've always said, I know other people that have Tourette's, and it's a big undergoing. He manages it well.
Wow.
It does not stop him from being outspoken, whether he joined the black cops in their support of Kaepernick on the Brooklyn Bridge, and Serpico was there, whether it's protesting Trump, the separation of the children in front of Trump Plaza or wherever they were in the city, and getting arrested. He has never been, and that's what we need, politicians that's going to go out and not be scared to talk and not be scared to attack the issues. And so I want to give him a shout. And the New York Times just wrote in their article that since Tish James, the public advocate, won the primary, that he should run for public advocate.
Yeah, there's chatter about that.
So I don't know what his future. I'm sure he's, reviewing what he's going to do. He still has his New York City Council seat right now. So he still has the work of the city to do in his district. But I'm sure when he makes a decision on what he's going to do, you will hear about it, and he will come to People Before Politics or the Black Westchester Power Hour radio show, and he will definitely let y'all know. So, but I just want to give him a shout, give him an applause. And he's proof positive that even in a loss, while he did not win, he raised a lot of issues. He brought up a lot of things. And they're going to have to look at what those 600,000 people that voted for him care about. And they're going to have to adopt some of those issues, and they're going to have to address some of those issues, because that's 600,000 people in the state of New York who voted, over 600,000 people that voted and cared about what he was talking about.
Wow.
So you can move a platform, issue
That's more
forward.
than 500,000.
Right. Yes, you can move and Dr. Fulani always says, running, the point, look at Bernie Sanders. When even though he lost, he made Hillary start talking about the issues that he was bringing up, that only he was bringing up because she wanted to get those voters. She had to start addressing some of those issues. You understand what I'm saying? And Trump did whatever he did to attract certain people too. But he made a big difference even in a loss. He showed that there's a lot of people what they care about. So, it's not always, even if you lose, getting a certain amount of votes, you command the attention of a lot of people, and you command the attention of the people that's in power. Because if they don't address those issues that the people that voted for him care about, they're going to hear it from all of those people. You understand what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Congratulations to Cuomo. He won. I didn't think. While I did like a lot of things Cynthia Nixon was talking about, I really didn't think that she. Yes, I agree. Charles Stern said I also think Alicia Eve should run for something else. Super capable person. I agree 100%.
Yes.
And the New York Times, in their endorsement of Zephyr Teachout, said if Zephyr wasn't in the race, they would have endorsed Alicia Eve 100%. And they hope that she does not give up on politics because she has a strong future and we need her in New York politics. And I second that. While she came on here, she didn't get a lot of the vote, but she made a believer out of a lot of people with her impressive interview that she did here 2 weeks ago. A lot of people were like, wow, I did not know. And, she has history in the struggle, going back to her, from her father to her. So, I was impressed with every. I was also impressed with Biaggi, how she handled that question well about her grandfather, where the other side, client side, tried to use that to bring her down.
Oh, yes,
and use that to discredit her. And she handled that well. And she said we're the only people that actually asked her about it and allowed her to address it, and she addressed it well. So I look forward to her seeing what she's going to do in the state Senate. She's going to be coming back on the show, after the election, and possibly writing something, for her district, for the paper for periodically. We had that conversation. So right now she's just celebrating the win, and she said it still hasn't fully sunk in, but it's overwhelming. She's excited. And Andrea talking about Andrea.
She was on CNN today, I think.
Right, Andrea. Well, I talked to her either yesterday or not too much after the election. So, but and Andrea, she handled her win with class, and she also showed
her campaign with class.
And she showed though, even though she went back to the Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. And while a lot was said about her from the opponent and the opponent's supporters, she never really took shots at them and ran anything negative against them. And there's a saying, he who laughs last
the loudest.
Right. And 83%, 82% speaks volumes.
83.
Well, it was 83 that night. I think it might have ended up being 82 the next day or something. But so somewhere 82, 83%. So
I checked it today.
But that speaks volumes. 83% of the people reelected her. And the people that supported her, including her opponent's co-workers in the legislature, every one of them, Republican and Democrat, supported her. And the Hispanic Democrats supported her.
2 weeks after she announced that she was running for re-election or something, or 2 weeks after the opponent announced, 2 weeks after one of those, they endorsed her.
Shout out to Chris Breezy. Shout out to Atif Khalil. Shout out to D. Wilson. Was there somebody else I missed? Shout out to Jesse Van Loo. Shout out to Luis Cherico. Jesse and Atif, I don't have the flyer in front of me. Can you write down when the date is for the rally so we can big that up? I want to applaud both Jesse and Atif, who have took it upon themselves. Usually you hear the same people that stand up, and it's usually the same voices. And after a while, people just be like, it's the same voices. But it's always empowering when you see new voices
Yeah.
as in Jesse, and young voices,
Yes.
as in Atif, get involved and decide that they're going to challenge the status quo and speak truth to power and stand up and be represented. And I have to give them a lot of credit, both of them, for doing that. And Atif is becoming a fine writer and a great addition to Black Westchester. Like me, I thought I knew it all when I was that age too, so you really couldn't tell me nothing. He's a little better than I am. But, he's going to be a force. If he sticks to it, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He's going to be the future of journalism, or whatever form that takes, in Westchester County and in Mount Vernon. A lot of us, it's good when we have someone younger that we can share what we know with, so that they can go farther than we did, and they start out younger. At his age, I was not thinking about politics. I was doing music business. I was doing all that stuff. I was writing for The Source and stuff. I was doing entertainment stuff. I wasn't thinking about speaking up on all of that. That was just not a priority in my life. So anytime we have younger people, 35 and below, which I think he's under that age. Yeah, he's got to be. He might be in his late 20s or early 30s. I'm not sure, but it's always good to see young people step up. The Save Mount Vernon, the next rally is September 29th. He's posted the link on here.
It's at 11 a.m.
So y'all can you at 11 a.m. and it's addressing the unsolved murders. Mostly in Mount Vernon. There have been several. You've heard Nas Duncan speak over and over about, the challenges of still fighting for justice for the killer of her son, Wilfred and Linda Dennis. You heard from them. They were at the Mount Vernon Families for Justice rally, and they all spoke up. And then, I keep saying to the Shaw family, the brother Kevin Shaw, who's passed now, he wasn't invited. We didn't know about him. He wasn't invited. He just heard about the Mount Vernon Families for Justice rally. He came and he spoke, and he said, all these years, it's been 2 or 3 years, he has still not heard anything from the Mount Vernon Police Department or the government. He comes up from the Bronx, and what he took from that, by hearing everybody speak, he said, I thought it was just me because I was from out of town. He said, but this happening to y'all, and y'all live here. And he was like, and he made that comment, Black lives just don't seem to matter in Mount Vernon. Well, he passed months later, and he passed without seeing his son's killer brought to justice, without even getting his son's personal belongings back, without ever hearing from the police department or the government in Mount Vernon. And that's a tragedy, and my hat goes off to his wife, who now she's lost her son, she's lost her husband, and she's still not seen anything in the way of justice. And I know, Lorraine, I don't want to bring up bad time. I know you know a little bit about that as well, from street violence with family members and stuff like that. We have to put an end to the senseless violence. Atif mentioned Desmond Fleming. He just put a piece. He has a new series called Who Done It, and he's spotlighting the unsolved homicide of Desmond Fleming on the Black Westchester Mount Vernon page today. You can go see it. And
I had a friend that was killed actually in Mount Vernon.
How long ago?
Last year, Tremaine. He was the one that they went to his house, and they followed him to his house, and they beat him, and he ended up getting ran over by the car. When they found him, he was laying in the street. And still to this day.
I do remember that.
Yes, that was I grew up with him, actually.
That's probably another unsolved homicide. So, it's not a Mount Vernon problem. It's a problem all over the country.
Yes.
But being these are residents of Mount Vernon, they're dealing with the Mount Vernon part of it. So
I had 2 family members killed also in Yonkers.
Yeah, in Yonkers, there's a lot of that in
Yeah,
Yonkers.
well, I had my 2 brothers killed in
Right, that's why I
Yonkers.
brought that up with Lorraine.
And I thank God for my aunt. She's the one that actually found the killer. And it was just out of the blue. You know, we just had a barbecue, and she left to go home early to get ready for work. And on the way home, she heard gunshots. She told her friend, slow down a little bit, and, you know, I want to see what's going on. So we slowed down, and she saw a guy. He wasn't running. He was walking quickly. So she said, you know what, just follow him. And they followed him up Locust Hill, and she watched him disrobe. She watched him hide the gun. She watched everything. And she called the police and said, you need to come. I don't know if this is any of relevance, but you need to come because I'm watching someone ditch a gun and disrobe. And they said to her, well, what is this in reference to? She said, well, I don't know. I just decided to follow him. And then that's when she got the call from her daughter, and it was my cousin Dinky.
Oh, she didn't even know.
She didn't know. No.
Wow.
We got the call from her daughter. Well, she got the call from her daughter and said it was my cousin. Antoine Linton was his name, but we called him Dinky. She said it was my cousin just got shot execution style in front of 55 School Street. And we're like, what? So she's like, well, give us, do you have a description? And she's describing the boy to the T. And my aunt is saying, I'm looking right at him right now. And she said, you tell the police. The police actually came to School Street with someone else. And my aunt said, no, you need to get over here now because the person that fits the description, I'm looking directly at him. And when they came over there, finally, they got the guy. It was him. And right now, he's serving 75 years to life.
Wow.
Just because my aunt decided to just follow him out of the blue. And I believe if she didn't, we would have never known because nobody wanted to talk. Nobody wanted to say anything. We actually had to have people subpoenaed to court for them to come in and to testify.
Wow. And I have to say this as well, and Damon usually says this about this time, but he's not here. So, one, we do need people to speak up.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
we do.
2, if the police want people from the public to speak up when they see something, the police need to speak up when they see something their coworkers are doing.
Exactly.
That's not right. As long as you have your blue wall or y'all have your form of no snitching, the people are never going to trust you enough to come forward. So, there's a lot of good cops and there's a handful of bad cops, but those bad cops, the good cops know them and don't always speak. And sometimes your silence comes off as, agreeance. Like support.
Like the killer cop in Texas. That now they're saying, the guy had marijuana in his. They're trying to attack his character. And trying to bring up stuff from the past, and he really didn't do anything wrong in the past or anything like that. But they keep making excuses for why the cop shot him.
So,
Latif wants us to share that there are actually over 10 unsolved murders.
Yes, there are. Shout out to Brandy Nichols. She says, sad, so sorry, Tasha. D. Wilson said, Tasha, that was good. That was God, and you have my condolences.
Thank you.
Louise Cherico said, the silence of apathy is deafening. There is nothing more painful than walking past people every day that knows what happened to your loved one. Yes. And Latif said, "Go Giants." I guess they're playing now. So, but Jesse said, "Thanks, AJ." And yes, Latif is the truth, and I agree. And hopefully, he will allow me to share what I know, and he will go much farther than I have ever gone. And he is definitely the future. As far as, speaking truth to power with the pen, using his pen, the power of the pen, whether it's in the form of his own personal blog, whether, Black Westchester goes bigger and bigger and he stays with us, or he goes on to bigger venues, bigger media platforms. He definitely has a future. and I just want to applaud him and thank him for his contribution. I'm only hard on you, Atif, because I believe in you and want to bring out the best in you. And I know that sounds crazy, but people used to tell me that, and I'd be looking at them like they was crazy. But you know what? I'm able to do what I do now because of all those editors. He's here?
Yes, he is.
Oh, my God. The mayor has entered the building.
Yeah, no, open it.
Mayor Spano has entered the building. Oh,
Mayor Spano.
in the place to be.
Sure.
Atif said the future of Black Westchester. Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
how are you?
Hello, sir. I never got a chance to see you the other night at Andrea's.
How are you?
I never got to see you at Andrea's the other night. I was running around, so when you saw Lorraine,
close to midnight.
yeah. But there were groups of people, and when I was outside with Barry McGooey when Lorraine took the picture with you. So
Okay.
we definitely want to give you a round of applause. And also, I want to say now we are official. We've been doing this show for 4 years in the city of Yonkers and have not been able to get the mayor of Yonkers here. And now that he's here, we are official now. So how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Had a nice weekend.
Okay. What's going on in Yonkers?
Well, yesterday we had
The
River
River
Fest.
Fest.
Yes, I heard. I wasn't able to make it.
I don't know what the exact count was, but it certainly was thousands of people that showed up.
I saw the Facebook
It was the
post.
most vendors they've ever had. And,
Yeah.
it's nice. I got to meet people that have been there forever, people who have just moved into the community, people who I met some people who live in White Plains but decided to come down to the Yonkers waterfront to enjoy the day and the festivities. Another couple lives in Manhattan. And they decided to come enjoy the festivities of the day. So it's nice. It's nice to see that people are just treating it as a place to go and have a good time.
I talked to a few people from Mount Vernon that I was asking them were they at City Fest, and they were at River Fest. So they were at they were at instead of
It's a beautiful waterfront. It really is, and it's nice to see that people appreciate it.
Brandy Nichols said, "Mayor Mike, you rock, the best mayor."
Oh, that's really nice. So thank you. I appreciate that.
So I've covered a lot of things. I've seen you. I've covered when you did the ribbon cutting and gave the award to the Juice Bar. I was happy to see that, and I think I covered. You and Virginia Perez when y'all the ribbon cutting of a bus stop or something with the seniors or something.
Yeah.
Covered. So I've been covering the Yonkers stories. Not all of them have been good. I'm sure you know, but I've been covering the good and the bad of Yonkers. And a lot of people want me to do more coverage, and I wanted to give you a chance to talk because I know there's I live in Mount Vernon, so I trip over 10 stories in Mount Vernon just going to the corner store. So there's a lot. I want to deal with the cities like Yonkers and Greenberg and stuff like that. And I know y'all had the situation where you almost had to lay off all the people from the fire department, the police department, and the teachers. And I know there was a lot of people.
It was a tough budget. It hasn't been a year where we haven't had a tough budget.
Right.
I remember when I first took office, there was it was the doom and gloom of the $100 million hole that we had to deal with. And every year, there's a full court press, right, between the council, myself, the labor, the state, in an effort to try and solve that particular year's problem.
Right.
But that's, I think, the problem.
Right.
Is that we're always solving the immediate problem, but you're never having anybody address the real systemic problems with underfunding for the city. And because people will say that to me, are you going to go back to Albany and look for more money? Yeah, I always say, yeah, I'm going to be back there, because if you give us a Band-Aid, then and we appreciate the help, but it doesn't solve the problem. Yonkers has got to be treated differently when it comes to the school aid formula. If you take what Yonkers, New York gets, and our what you call our maintenance of effort, what the taxpayers put into our schools here in Yonkers is about $260 million right, for a district of 27,000 kids. And you go to Rochester, New York, where a district of 27,000 kids,
Wow.
and they put 70, 70 million. So, what does that mean? Well, it means I have to go, because we get so much less from New York State, I have to make up the difference, because we spend roughly the same on our schools. I have to go to the local property taxpayers. And once they're squeezed beyond belief, what suffers? Well, music, sports, all the different things that we'd like to have for our young people, they suffer because of underfunding. And I'd like to put more money in the schools, but like you said, like we talked about before, it's hard to do it in the confines of the budget that we have. We need to rebuild our schools. We need to rebuild our infrastructure. I mean, there are monumental challenges that lie ahead, and it can be overwhelming if you think of all of them. So I try not to. I try to accomplish some things and pick the things I need to accomplish. I need to build a firehouse. We're building that firehouse.
That's happening now, right?
Yeah, that's happening right now. We have to build 3 new schools, and we'll make an announcement and get shovels in the ground, at least on 2 of them before I leave, and I'll be glad about that. But but there's still so much more to do. I mean, just rebuilding our schools. One of the council members was talking about air conditioning in our schools. The council president was talking about air conditioning in the schools.
We read all about that.
He's not wrong, but the problem is, if you had to fix the problems that plague our schools, not talking about building new schools, because we need to build new schools. We have 40 over close to 5,000 kids over capacity.
Right.
But we have $2 billion in infrastructure needs, $600 million just to bring the district up to state standards. 9 schools that are over 100 years old, and so if you have schools over 100 years old, that means your power grid is over 100 years old.
Right.
Kids are going to school and it's hot,
Right.
it's cold,
Right.
or they're going into a converted auditorium or into a converted auditorium that's leaking. They're going to converted basements that are right near a boiler room. We know Gorton. If you go to that one, you go to that one classroom that's right next to the boiler room. In the wintertime, it's 90 degrees down there for these kids, and so these are the types of things that our kids what they have to endure,
Right.
aside to get a good education. And like I said, for me, I can't just raise the taxes to solve the problem, because I don't really have it. I mean, Lorraine knows, she was there. If I have $2 billion in infrastructure needs, and people just go in your head that for every $30 million I borrow as a city, we borrow $30 million, the property taxes have to go up 1%.
Right.
So do the math.
Right.
$2 billion.
Right.
You know,
Right.
We're going up a lot
Right.
more than we can even constitutionally go.
Right.
We have a limit as to how high we can raise the taxes too. Don't forget.
Right.
And so we're limited on that.
Well, a couple of things. Shout out to Barry McGooey here, Yonkers Fire president. He's on. He said good evening. Shout out to our co-host Robert Baskerville, Dr. Bob, who's not here. Shout out to Dwayne Brown. Now, I wanted to ask you a couple of things, because what we try to do is clear up. There's a lot of people say a lot of things. One of the things that I heard a lot of people were bringing up and complaining about, that you wanted to get rid of the term limits so you can run again. So.
No. I don't know how many times I can say no, though. Every time somebody says it to me, I go, no. And people will ask me over and over again if I would be willing to overturn or extend term limits. Listen, I make no bones about it. I've never once supported term limits. But that's doesn't matter in this particular case, because I'm not running for a 3rd term.
Okay.
I heard you wanted to spend some more time with the family.
No, you know what it is? I love this job. I love being mayor of Yonkers. But I set out with a very aggressive program. And I said that we would do 16 years worth of work in 8 years. And, that was my effort. And that's what I wanted to put forth. And it's an all-consuming, unnatural lifestyle. It really is. And and if you really care about the people of this town, then you have to, this city, I call it a town because once in a while it feels like a town, you know that. Yonkers, everybody knows everybody.
Yep.
Right,
Small.
right, So if you have to put the emotion into it, and the emotion's tough. It's a lot, when like I said, we can go through all the host of issues. So the direct answer to your question is no, not running for a third term, and that's that's it.
I got a question for the mayor.
And some people ask me if they overturn terms, would you run? And I said no.
Okay.
But it still comes out there. It still shows up in the blogs, and
I mean, because I've read it everywhere. I've heard it from. I get a lot of calls from Yonkers. Oh, you need to come here. The city is so corrupt. You need to come here to deal with our schools. You need to come here. So I haven't yet, but I'm looking more, and because people are demanding me to come more.
Yeah.
Come
check it out.
Yeah.
I don't think it's corrupt at all.
Well, I think every city has a level of corruption. There's corruption everywhere. It's just how
I don't
the
think
system
so.
the system of politics is corrupt. Even when good people get in, sometimes corruption touches I think the system.
Well, I know of a county
corruption.
legislator that applies to, but not anybody else.
Oh, not your buddy Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you said legislator. Oh, legislator.
She said.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just want to take a shot at it.
I don't know. I kind of have a cockeyed view of politics. I've been around for so long, but I think that in general, people come in. Their intention is to do the right thing.
Right. I believe that.
Most people. The system is a tough system.
I believe
you
that.
can't do everything you want to do.
Right.
And sometimes you have to compromise. Now, for those who are corrupt, they compromise in their own self-interest. That's something in all by itself. But overall, I think that most of the people that I have served with and have met in my time in politics, I've been lucky. I've been good, solid people who really care about their community, who want to do the right thing. I mean, that's been my experience. That doesn't mean I haven't met people who've done the wrong thing. I have. But like I said, I think most of the time people do want to do the right thing. If not, why do this? Do something else for a living.
So I have another quick question, just real quick. Kind of a joke, kind of a question. So I know you hear what's going on in Mount Vernon politics. Yes. And I heard Joe Spezia was very big in Yonkers, and y'all ran him out. One, can you show us how you did it so we can do it? Or two, can you take him back, please, because we want him out at Mount Vernon. So.
Joe's very litigious. I don't know if I want to start talking about Joe.
No.
I'm just start suing me. But,
yeah.
I know Joe was very much a part of the politics here in Yonkers before I got here. I didn't run him out.
With the McConey administration.
I don't think he... Maybe he just wasn't interested in my brand of politics, I guess, and picked up and left. I wouldn't say I ran him out because I don't think anybody runs Joe anywhere. But he's gone over to Mount Vernon, and it's really sad what's happening because it's a great city.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
It has, just like Yonkers, tremendous amount of upside.
Yes.
What's happening now is that the money and the millennials have now started to focus in on Lower Westchester, not just Yonkers.
Right,
Yonkers seems to be the one the people are talking about,
right.
But they really should be talking about Yonkers and Mount Vernon.
Right.
It should be both,
right.
But it's the politics that are driving. It's the politics that used to kill us. These the things that when people Google Yonkers or they Google Mount Vernon and they see different things about different elected officials and what have you. Investors and families, because investors think like families, right? They want to come, live, work, and play in a community. They look and they go, well, I can't put my kids there, and I won't be able to get the job I want, or I won't be able to, or I won't get to return the investment of my home.
Right.
That's unfortunate because that is one great city. And I know that the future is so bright for Mount Vernon.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, listen, despite the political issues that are happening there, there's still a lot happening.
Right.
And but I think that so much more can happen there.
Absolutely.
If given if they can get beyond some of the stuff that we're static, I'll call it, that we're seeing right now. But you live there. You know how great that city is.
Absolutely. And it's always been great, and and it can be great again. I mean, when you had people like the Jackson Five, and their performance wasn't at the county center or something, was at Memorial Field. You know what I'm saying? The Super Bowl, they shot the Mean Joe Green commercial at Memorial Field in Mount Vernon.
I was
you know what I'm
so
saying?
jealous of Memorial Field. I really was. No, I'm not kidding you.
Right.
When I would see that field, I'd say, God, I wish we had something like that in Yonkers.
Right.
And because I envisioned us rebuilding those stands,
Right.
and putting a field in. And, now that the stands are torn out.
Right.
But it's that is, I mean, again, that's like an iconic
Absolutely.
Vernon, field.
Right.
And you like to keep things like that because they're part of the personality of your community, and you want to build on that.
Right. Once we get past, and we talking about decades of, not just this current administration, people they want to rewrite history. I mean, this last 3, 4, 5 administrations that led to this. This is not all the Thomas administration. Even though I'm very hard on the Thomas administration, this stuff predates him.
Yeah.
It was closed when he got it.
That's right.
Ernie got the patient on life support. It died on Clinton's watch, and Thomas has been unsuccessful in resuscitating. I mean, that's basically how you put it. But this is going on. I mean, I read a 1995 article in the New York Times about the decaying of Memorial Field. Ernie Davis was at the county legislator time. He wasn't even mayor yet. And they were talking about how bad it was decaying then. And just, I guess the steps. Yeah. Band-Aids on bullet wounds. Eventually, you have to take the bullets out. I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, and stop the bleeding for real.
Sometimes you just have to, you have to show people small victories. And I think that
Absolutely.
was one of the things that we tried to do early on. When we took office 2012, it was, where can we score some early victories? One of the things I did was I decided the baseball stadium and the sale of Chicken Island, it's all on hold. Why? Because we had so many different plans and so many different hopes for the waterfront that we weren't focusing on just getting one done at a time, right?
Right.
We had all of our properties were kind of locked up in a contract with one company, and we needed to kind of get out of our own way. So I said, and it was a little controversial at the time, I said, we're not developing Chicken Island. That's it. We're going to because my theory was that if we developed the waterfront and we put the units of housing that they want to put in the waterfront, the Chicken Island would happen organically. It would happen all by itself. Because
now, what are you saying? Chicken what?
Chicken Island.
Now, what is that for us that don't know Yonkers like that?
Yeah, that's a little nickname.
Chicken Island is a parking lot, and there's a whole history behind
in
that
Getty
name.
Square.
Behind City Hall, right? Behind Getty Square. So, but you're going to see in the next couple of weeks that now that we have close to 4,000 units being built on the water's edge and on all those old former factory sites that have been cleaned up, now you have this tremendous amount of development. We have gotten offers on Chicken Island, some pretty significant offers, and so but I'll be announcing that in probably the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Wow. That's great.
I want to just say from the outside looking in from Mount Vernon, I liked how Ridge Hill came together. The waterfront that came together, and it was just like
I like to take credit for Ridge Hill, but it happened before me.
Right. But I'm just saying, Yonkers, like we saw, we didn't see where we were trying to get more building and more progression in Mount Vernon. We saw New Rochelle build up the whole New Rock area, and then y'all build up the so it was like. We had 4 movie theaters. Now we got to go to New Rochelle, Co-op, or Bay Plaza, or Yonkers, to go to the movies. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but it's like everything around Mount Vernon was just growing, and it seemed like Mount Vernon stood a little still a little bit, and that's what's been frustrating, seeing all the development and beautiful things around us.
Because somebody's got to focus on the positives. On a daily basis. If you just any big city. Any city, any mid-sized city, any big city, we have our share of issues. We have when you have the social economic climates that we have. We have struggling families, we have wealthy families. We have a very mixed community. It's there. If you wanted to focus on just the bad things, you could very easily do that because in the news, they like if it bleeds, it leads. Right. But on a daily basis. More good things happen in the city of Yonkers than bad, And I'm certain it's the same way in Mount,
In Mount
Vernon.
Vernon, yes.
And so, but what you got to do is you have to be insistent, and you have to push it, and you have to go out there. And sometimes, I drive the press crazy because I'm holding sometimes 2 press conferences in a day, 3, 4 in a week, where I do press conference after press conference. I get people criticize me for cutting ribbons. Fine, I don't mind. But I do that because I want to tell the story of Yonkers. There are more good things are happening here. Yes, we have problems in our schools. Yes, our schools need to be rebuilt. But, there's a reason we have over 27,000 kids in our school district now, and there's a reason we're over capacity. The reason is people want to come to Yonkers. They want to live here. They want to work here. They like what's happening in the city.
Right.
And so I got to tell those stories. I got to tell the stories about, we have a top-rated high school in Yonkers High School. People don't, people generally don't believe it if you say it to them.
Right.
But you got to tell that story over and over again. You have to tell people the story about Yonkers being, one of the safest cities of its size in all of America. We're the second, according to the FBI statistics, we are number 2 of the safest cities in the United States of America, which means we're the safest city in the Eastern Seaboard.
Right.
And, if...
That I didn't know.
Yeah, well, and the problem is because we're in Westchester, which is a wonderful community.
Absolutely.
But, there isn't... If you go compare Westchester to maybe some of the other big cities around the country, there's a much higher crime rates. We're very fortunate. We have very low crime rates, especially in our suburban areas. So,
I lived in Long Island. Suffolk County is way worse.
Right. There's very little crime there. And so when News 12 or Ganette's doing their stories, well, where are they showing the crime? It's either Mount Vernon or Yonkers.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's not happening in those other communities. And so now the perception, because perception, reality.
Right.
The perception is, they're not safe. No, you know what? They actually are much safer than you think. It's just that we focus on the negative, and that's why I'm always trying to put out the positive story whenever I can.
I want to let Tasha ask a question. I want to say, I want to say not defending Low HUD or News 12, but only speaking for Black Westchester. There are several. They say, you never write any good stories about Yonkers. You never write good stories about Mount Vernon. Do you know when we do, no one reads them? I mean, seriously, I can show you links, but if we talk about someone got shot here or they got arrested here or a politician did something wrong, I can't stop people from looking at that. I don't even have to share the link. You know what I'm saying? Everybody shares it all over the place.
No, it's true.
But the little girl who had the lemonade stand and working her way through college. Yeah, some people looked at it, but not as much as you understand what I'm saying?
No, my wife is a broadcast journalist, and she's a reporter, and we talk about it all the time. And that was actually one of the things that she had suggested when I first became mayor. She said, you need to tell the story of Yonkers, and you need to say it every single day, over and over and over again, because you're going to have you're going to have the negative stuff. Mm-hmm. It's there. You're a big city. You're going to have it, but you need to counterbalance it so that people can see both sides.
Absolutely.
Because if they only hear negatives about the community they live in, you know what? After a while, if they can vote, they're going to vote with their feet and they're going to go, and we don't want that. I want to keep them.
One comment. Former Mount Vernon police officer John Jones said, "Please tell Mayor Spano I said hello." I guess he knows you.
I know John Jones very well. Our daughters went to school together. He's a good guy. What's up, John?
Tasha, you had a question.
Yes, I had a question for Mr. Mayor. I wanted to know, now that you're saying that you're not for the extension of term limits or overturning the term limits, what kind of person would you feel like would be a good successor for your seat?
Oh, you know what?
Well, that's not a fair question.
Well, you know what it is? I have a year and a half left in my term, maybe a little bit less than a year and a half, right?
And you want somebody that's going to pick up where you left off and follow your same views?
Yeah, of course.
There's 12 people in the waiting.
But most people run for office, right? They have 2-year terms.
Right.
Right? So I got almost a year and a half of my term. Think about that. That means I still got a lot of time left.
Right.
And I don't want people to look past me just yet.
Right, absolutely.
So
they were looking at you. They thought that you were going to run again. I know a lot of people probably would have voted for you if you ran again. But
it's if if I thought it would be a positive thing for the city, I would consider running again. But I really don't think it would be a positive thing. I think it would be the whole. I think that there's the whole issue of term limits and people believing that you're going to want to just do that to hold on to power. I just felt that it's not how I want to end my time as mayor. I want to end my time in a very positive way. I want to leave the city in a better place than which I received it. That doesn't mean we did everything perfect, which we didn't. I'm sure there'll be people who say there's things that we could have done better. I'm sure there'll be people who will say there's things that we did well. And I'm okay with that, but as long as overall we did a good job. And I'm going to work real hard for a candidate that will be able to continue the progress and maybe fill in.
So you're not going to just leave us hanging?
No, not at all. Listen, I live here, and I'm raising my family here, and I plan to I plan to die here. So I want to make sure that. Listen, I'm not going to be the mayor behind a mayor. That I won't do. I mean, when there's one mayor at a time. Right. But up until then, I'm going to make sure that I put my efforts behind the person I think is right for the job. Who that person is a discussion that has to happen between the party leaders and the people of Yonkers, and it's really not a time for me right now to kind of to dance in that world.
Well, let me ask you this question. Nobody's promised tomorrow. If today was your last day as mayor, do you believe that you left it in better shape than you got it? And secondly, with your time left, what would you like to do to make it better before you leave?
Got to get these. Okay, if we ended today, I believe that we are leaving the city in better shape than where we received it. That doesn't mean we got it in awful shape, right? But
right.
What, do we leave? Do we do a better job? I'd like to say yeah. If you ask my opinion, I'm going to say yes. Now, like I said, the pundits might say something differently, but I'm going to say yes. We have A-rated bonds, which Yonkers never had. Even though our fiscal issues continue to plague us, but we're getting there. We are 40% safer in the past 7 years than we were when I took office. There's $2.5 billion of economic development happening in the city. We have an affordable housing ordinance, which you look back at Yonkers, 40 years ago, you had the potential of federal troops in our city because you couldn't get the council to pass an affordable housing ordinance, which in large part led to all the desegregation issues that turned out in the city, right? And so we were able to pass an affordable housing ordinance that was passed 7-0, all Republicans, all Democrats voting for it. We are working on becoming a more environmentally friendly city. I like to keep Yonkers green. Something as simple as our streetlights, right? It was 13,000 streetlights, and we were able to work out a deal with a private-public partnership that actually was used in many other communities all across this region, using the blueprint that we put in place that provided for private investors to come in, change the lights, and give us a savings that was based on the overall savings of going from the old lights to the new lights, because they're 90% more efficient, and they last for 20 years. And so so we didn't have to go out there and bond and pay for it when we were able to leverage private investors to do that and still save $2 million a year on our electric costs for those 13,000. And of course the carbon footprint was reduced. I don't remember, the number escapes me, but it was pretty significantly for the city. So we're going to do. Before I leave, I hope to be able to come up with a rationale or a way of getting rid of plastic bags in our city. I proposed the 5-cent charge fee on plastic bags. I think that will force people to change their habits. So I would still like to see that happen.
Now you mean plastic bags in supermarkets, plastic garbage bags?
No, plastic bags in supermarkets.
Okay,
I also like to see us, see the council and work with them to change the law even with the plastic garbage bags, that they should be clear garbage bags, because, you know, right now we have recyclables being mixed in with regular trash.
Right.
And not only is it bad for the environment, but, you know, we have a whole recycling program in the city that pays us a lot of money. These tipping, we get with the county MRF center, we get paid, and we have reduced rates on getting rid of our waste because we recycle and we get reimbursement for that. And so there are those out there who really don't want to follow those laws. And if everyone was required, like they do in other communities, to have see-through plastic bags, people, they think twice.
Because you can see that bottle. You can see that 2-liter
say,
bottle of
maybe I
Pepsi
shouldn't
sticking
do
that.
that.
Right.
You know, so there's some more things that I like to do environmentally that will help clean our city up. I'd like to get these 3 schools built. That's pretty significant. I'd like to start the process of doing a revow in Yonkers, because right now there's tax unfairness in the city. You know, you could have 3 homes. They could be identical homes in exactly the same neighborhood. 1, 2, 3, and 3 different taxes for those 3 different homes.
Yeah.
And that is just completely unfair to the people who live here, but it's also very difficult. It makes it very difficult. It's something that's even the bond rating companies have questioned. They said, how is it that you guys haven't done reval since the 50s? You know, you guys need to do this. And it's something I put in the budget all the time. And I'm working with the council to try and get it out. And I think they, I'm hopeful that they might want to do it. It's not a popular, because people believe that there are some people just have this belief that it's just an avenue for raising taxes on residential homes, but it's not true. It's actually a tax fairness issue. Just to give you an idea, you know, you take like the Hillview Reservoir, you know, they pay Yonkers taxes. Because we don't have a reval, they're paying an old rate. New York City, they're paying us only maybe a couple $1 million. They should be paying us $5 or $6 million in revenues towards that. And had we done the reval, they would be paying the proper taxes, and that it will actually help bring down the tax levy for everybody else. So I believe it's the right thing to do. It takes a little political courage, because there are those who could be adversely affected. Their taxes could go up, but we need to fix the system. It's broken, and we can help those who have been enjoying these low taxes from any big tax increase with any homestead exemptions or things like that. But we got to do something because it's having just a devastating effect. It's one of the things that really hurts our budget is the fact that we have this tax unfairness. And I tell people when I go into homeowner groups, I say, listen, you know what? Half of the people in this room, you're not taxed at the value of your home. We all get taxed based on our value, right? And so maybe you're not paying what you're supposed to be paying, but don't worry about it, because you know what? The other people on the other side of the room, you're paying their tax bill for them.
Wow.
Right? Well, they don't want to do that either.
Right,
we
right,
want
right.
everyone to just be fair.
Now I'm going to combine a couple of questions because they're asking similar questions. One person said that they themselves and others left Yonkers when they had kids, when they became parents, and asked the question, with all the development, people are just getting pushed out. Are there, development for low income? Because I know there's another topic we've had on here a lot is the homelessness. Yeah. And we had a homelessness advocate, Laura Case, who did a bunch of stories about homelessness in Yonkers, homelessness in Westchester, and a growing number of working homeless. And I know y'all have your problems with some of the shelters and stuff like that. So with the development, a lot of times it's looked at as gentrification. They're pushing the low income out and attracting new income. So can you speak about a little bit of that?
Yeah, that's one thing we probably should straighten out first is remember, where all this development's going on, there are empty lots there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not really pushing anybody out. We're just moving people in.
Okay.
And so because they're empty lots, right? And it's not like we're tearing down something. Now, the area where we are tearing down and making significant changes is in our municipal housing stock. Yonkers has some 2,000 municipal housing, right, units in the city. And one of the things that I said when I became mayor, I said, you know, when the tide goes up, all the boats are supposed to go up with it. And everyone should benefit from this economic resurgence that's happening in Yonkers. And although it hasn't got a lot of notoriety, we have been in the process over the past 2 or 3 years, and will be done probably very soon, maybe before I leave office, with rebuilding every single affordable housing unit in the city. Every last one is either being torn down, cottage gardens torn down.
That's where my daughter lives. She's very excited.
Right. We're being rebuilt. Now, we
Slow
did that
burn.
because we got some federal money. We did that because we got some state money. We did that because there are tax incentives being offered to companies to come in and help us do this. First time since World War II, we're rebuilding every single unit.
And you're doing that one's quick, the one you're talking about by your daughters. I've been there.
Yeah.
I seen when
It's
it came
beautiful.
down. I came back a
Isn't it
couple of months
beautiful?
later. It's like, yeah, I see the
because-
movement quick. It's
'cause
moving quick.
You can't, you know, you said you have all this beautiful stuff being built up, and then, you know, and I could see, you know, you live there, you go, well, wait, what about me?
Right.
And, well, we're rebuilding everything. And
That's
so,
awesome.
and we had
That's wonderful.
through the Yonkers IDA, had to do tax shelters, or what they call shelter rents. They were basically reductions in, and tax pilots, another word for that, to allow for these units to get built.
Well,
And
let me-
we participated in that because, you know, this is our people.
Right.
And you know what? If we have to give a little more, so we can rebuild these units, then we should do it, because overall it's have a real positive effect in the city. Like I said, slow bombs right now, they are going apartment to apartment, and where they can, listen. So some places they'll move people out. They give Section 8 certificate, and they say, let's go find you another place to live, but you have the first option to come back. That's one way of doing it. Other ways we're doing it, and you'll see it in some of the other facilities across the city, is when a person goes to work, we go to work, and we go in. We do the windows, we do the kitchen, we do the bathrooms, we do the floors, we do the painting, and these units look beautiful. And it's not just the inside, but it's the outside, it's the shrubbery, it's, you know, it's the way people ought to live. You know, I said that when we came here. I said, you know, Yonkers, well, we're 20% of the county's population, we're 40% of affordable housing in this county, but it's not anything you don't want to live in. So what do we need to do to change that? And this is a very big part of it, because this is a city, state, and federal dollars that we've been able to capture and make this investment. And it was pretty aggressive, I know, but we're accomplishing our goal.
Now I want to capitalize on what you just said. I'll go piggyback on what you just said. A lot of times when these buildings, known as the projects or whatever you want to call them, are rebuilt, they're not, after they're done, the people who live there can't afford to live there now.
No, not in municipal housing.
Hmm.
That's not the case, because remember, the people that are there are staying in there. The people that leave come back if they choose to, but they're still getting the subsidy.
Right.
Okay.
I have family members that live in different
No, this
complexes that
has
got
been
done.
good.
That's not, I'm not talking about Yonkers either. I'm just about nationwide. Usually when they develop those areas, the people that live there cannot now afford to go back there.
Well, these are
like in
low
Harlem,
income,
in
so-
Harlem, and the
This is
buildings in
low income
Harlem, they
This
couldn't
is-
go. Them people can't afford to live in the
No,
buildings
this
no
is
more.
low
Yeah.
income.
No.
This is for the people who live there.
Okay.
This rebuild is for them,
Okay.
right? It's not for gentrification or anything like that. This is for them.
Now I
And-
want you got a compliment. Edgar
Santana.
Edgar Santana. He's a
Said-
trustee in the Yonkers Board of
he
Education.
said Mike Spano has made Yonkers better.
And he also
And he
said
okay, go ahead.
he's an honoree for this year's Yonkers MBK Gala. And the Obama Foundation also has Yonkers as one of 16 cities being considered for an honor.
Yes, it is.
Really?
It's amazing. You know, when Dr. Bostic came to me. He said, the president has this plan. And it's called My Brother's Keeper. And he said, but you have to accept the challenge. And he goes, and I want to kind of get you up to speed in this. And would like you to accept the challenge. And so anyway, as it turned out, we went through the whole thing. We brought in Dr. Casada from the Board of Education. And it's really interesting because, you have My Brother's Keeper, right? And it focuses on black boys and black men,
Right.
and making sure that from cradle to career, it's taking a look at, everything that's not just school, making sure that, you're reading at third grade level when third grade comes, making sure that you have, you graduate school, and you graduate school ready for college or secondary education, and that you get secondary education, because we all know that if you good secondary education, you'll get a job.
Right.
If you get a job, then obviously it's a much different future.
Right,
for
and
you.
the whole thing is it's a beautiful
so
thing.
So My Brother's Keeper, Yonkers has been has really been in the forefront of this, and it's great because who's running it? You want to laugh? It's me. I'm kind of like, I don't know how to put this in politically correct. I'm kind of like a middle class white guy, right?
Right.
And then there's Dr. Casada, who is an immigrant.
Right.
Come here, couldn't speak a word of English, and is now running our school district, from the Dominican Republic. And he, you can't tell him that there are roadblocks, because he has overcome every roadblock. And you can say the same thing about Dr. Jim Bostic, who came up through the ranks here in Yonkers.
He's from Nipperhead Community Center.
That's right.
Right,
When
yes,
things
I know the
were,
name, yeah.
with the most turbulent times in Yonkers history, because I don't profess to ever say I know what it's like to be a black man in Yonkers. I mean, a black man in America.
Right.
And I wouldn't know. And the same thing, I wouldn't know, what it's like to be an immigrant coming
Right.
to America.
Right.
But the three of us together, we just have this energy, and there's a certain kind of credibility, and we walk into a room, and we've been promoting this, promoting this program that we're doing here in Yonkers nationwide, and it's been very well received, and Yonkers is doing very well for on this program, and I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about everything that we're doing, but I have two partners who aren't afraid to tell me what I don't know.
Right.
And
That's
I'm
good.
not-
You need that.
That's right. And you know what else? And they've said to me more than once, because they said, we're going to talk about some ugly statistic, right? I mean, we're going to talk about, that statistically that, African American males are not going to pass school, and they're not going to get a job because they didn't pass school. These are hardcore statistics that we're going to talk about. And they've encouraged me. He said, you know what? Talk about it. We all need to talk about it. Everybody needs to talk about it, because the sooner we talk about this,
Sooner
the
you correct the
quicker
problem.
we'll solve the problem.
Right.
And that's what we've been doing in Yonkers. And it's been a great partnership for us.
Y'all been, I think y'all were the second or the third, because I know New Rochelle was first to accept
Right.
the challenge.
That's right.
I was involved in the whole New Rochelle, the planning process
Right.
before they got and I think y'all might have been second or third. Y'all were definitely in front. Y'all were top.
Yeah,
in the count for the
we
county.
weren't- maybe the county. But
Yeah, I'm talking about for the
nationwide,
county.
Yeah,
no.
we
New
were
Rochelle
down
was the first in
line.
the county,
Yeah.
and y'all were second or
Yeah.
third. Y'all were right behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all jumped on it right away, because I was monitoring the whole thing from the New Rochelle thing on.
Well, it's that holistic approach, looking at somebody's life from cradle to career. It's not just about school. It's about nutrition. It's about getting sleep. It's about, the stresses that are happening in one's community around them. All of this has a direct effect on the educational outcome. And I think that when we address these 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 pressure points, we can have a positive impact on the outcomes, and that's going to mean a better life for everyone in our community.
I have a comment from Gail Baxter, but before that, Lorraine, say hi to your daughter. She just tuned in.
Hi, Taina.
Good evening. This is Gail Baxter. Having
Hi,
lived
Gail.
in Yonkers for 45 years, I will say the city has grown with new housing development and hotels under Mayor Spano. However, families who make minimum wages are limited in their ability to find affordable housing cannot do so. City planners have failed to address the limited parking on the streets, Walburn Avenue, and as a result of the influx of stakeholders, especially on the west side. While there is an increase in various fees that help to fund the operation in the city, west side residents are stuck. Question: what plans are underway to address the parking crisis for those who find themselves walking blocks from where they park to their apartments? Would you consider on-street parking permits at reasonable rates like they have in other towns and villages? At this rate, many residents would consider such permits if at a reasonable fee to avoid tickets. As a senior retiree, I've enjoyed my life here and have met and made wonderful friends. That's from Gail.
That's right. And she's one of my wonderful friends, too, and I appreciate that. Yonkers, New York just has too many cars.
Where were we driving the other day and you said, these people can't find park? Look, AJ, there's no parking.
Amazing. So
coming from Andrea's party.
Right.
Yeah,
I used to
Wolverine.
love, and I don't want to digress, and I'll tell you, I'll answer the question about what our plans are, because we do have some plans, and they have to do with Chicken Island as well, that will help address the problem there, the parking. But it's like, I loved snowstorms. I love snowstorms until I became mayor of Yonkers. Now I hate snowstorms because what's the first phone call I get? It's going to snow. Well, you need to suspend alternate side of street parking. All right. Well, if I suspend alternate side of street parking, I can't clean the snow off the streets. But if I have to, but if I don't suspend it, no one's got a place to park. So it's like kind of the chicken and the egg. Which one do we do? And so we're always trying to strike that balance. But to answer the question directly, yes, parking is an issue. Now, in the future, parking may or may not be an issue. That's if you talk to many of the experts, they think that the actual need for parking will actually decrease as we see like the electric cars and the self-driven cars. All that is going to emerge, and it's going to be a different kind of world. But the developments that are happening right now on the waterfront, RXR has over. I want to make sure I give you the right number, but it's over 500 spots. The Xtel, which we just came to agreement with us, they're building 600 extra spots for the community, above and beyond what they need for their own needs. I am in process of talking with the developer of Teutonia Hall, Buena Vista Avenue, because they're going to build parking in the basement of that building before they come out of the ground. We're going to get them to allow us to partner with them and build a couple of floors, a few hundred spots for us. We have just put forth a bid for the parking garage we currently have. What's the name of that parking garage?
Buena Vista?
Buena Vista Garage, to put 2 more floors on top. That's another 200 spots.
You just opened up a parking lot on Main Street in Nepperhan.
We opened up, that's right. And just above that, which is right next door to the Cacase Center, I'm not sure if it was the Spencer administration or the Amico administration had a plan to build an over 1,000 space parking garage. We are going to unveil that again and attempt to get that done.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So, that's just a little of what we need to do, but I realize it is a problem, and it's not going away. I know that, like I said, when I speak, when I go to the different conferences, when they talk about cities and the parking needs, many of the people will say to you, you don't really need to have that much parking anymore. But I don't see that, and I think the residents don't see that either. So we have to kind of be prepared for both worlds, which is okay, though, because if we build the parking structures and the need for parking reduces itself, it doesn't matter, because you know what? You could take those empty garage spaces and fill them with either retail or additional units, housing units. So it's not the end of the world if you build more parking. So that's why we're pushing for it.
Another listener wanted to know, How often do you speak one-on-one with the governor? I don't know.
Not as often as I'd like to. Not as often as I like to, but the governor has truly been a friend to Yonkers. I mean, he's not he's not a guy who's just going to cut you a check. You know, I know that when the Board of Education had that $55 million hole, and I called the governor to tell him about it, and he immediately got on the phone, and he said, we don't just cut checks out. You need a plan. You give me a plan, and we're going to be there to help you. And we gave him a plan where we merged 5 departments that were, so we merged the law department with the city law department, and the Board of Education used to have 2, now they have 1. They used to have 2 finance officers, they used to have 2, now they have 1. The human resources used to have 2, now they have 1. So we did that with about 5 different departments, and it's, it saves the city and the Board of Education, I guess, about $10 million a year. And that's, that's reoccurring, right? So that's $50 million. I guess the IMA's been in place about 5 years now. So, and the governor made available $24 million to the city if we were willing to do that. And it was a political lift. It was hard. The trustees had to work together with the Board of Education. The trustees had to work together with us and the city side. They don't always work together. And the unions had to come together because, you had CSEA representing Board of Education employees, that if they were city employees, they'd be SEIU, right? And so there was a negotiation that needed to take place. Everyone worked hard. Everyone wasn't entirely excited about some of the changes. Some people were, but at the end of the day, we got the job done. And now we're 5 years into this IMA, and that's been a good thing. But it hasn't happened without a lot of hard work from a lot of different people.
Speaking about unions, so before you arrived, I had a nice conversation with somebody from the Teamsters, who complained that there is the number of non-union jobs, I guess, in building in that industry have increased exponentially. And they need more union jobs, and so I just, if you want to speak on that a little bit, if you can. No, that's fine. I think it's a good conversation. Listen, obviously we need to be able to put forth prevailing wage, right? That is our push. We like to have obviously our labor force involved in every development. Remember, these are private developments, and so you can't exactly tell them who they can hire. Though there are those who, Lou Picani, he and I are good friends since we're kids, and I love the guy to death. He would love for me to say, you all have to have a union, 100%. But that's what I meant, right? Was that the guy he just mentioned? That's the guy?
It's all prevailing wage.
Who?
From the Teamsters, the guy you introduced me
You said
to.
Lou Picani.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
That's what I meant. That's what I was talking about.
And there's no greater fighter for his union. And my job is to get the opportunities out there, right? I can't be the agent for the unions. All I can be is the agent for the taxpayers of Yonkers. Get $2.5 billion worth of economic development in the ground. There is a tremendous amount of this work is being done by union workforce. Is it 100%? Probably not, but they're private. If it's government, we've insisted it's 100% union. Building the schools will be 100% union. That's just the way it's going to be. And that was something that we insisted we put in legislation. I cannot tell private developers how much, who they have to deal with. And no one does. Just so you know, this is not an issue specific to Yonkers.
Right. Well, he mentioned New Rochelle.
Yeah, this is everybody.
He wasn't just talking about Yonkers, but
it's everybody.
He did say Yonkers, but we talked about everywhere else, though.
And so what I did, though, as a pilot project for the trades unions, they asked me. They said that they wanted me to put a PLA, Project Labor Agreement requirement, in our IDA, and I said, I tell you what, I'll do it for 1 year as a pilot project, and let's see what happens. So for 1 year, we have been doing this. We're actually maybe the 8th month of doing this. The problem is no new developments happening because private developers don't want to be told who they have to hire. You talk to certain developers, and I won't mention names, they'll say, well, geez, I'm spending $130 million of my money. You're going to give me a $5 or $10 million tax credit. I'm spending $130 million, and you're going to tell me who I have to hire? I'll take my money somewhere else. And so that's the balance I have to strike as mayor. So what I do is I got to get them in the door. Once I get them in the door, like RXR, got them in the door, and then we work to make sure that the concrete's being poured there, they're being poured by Teamsters. The foundations rising up out of the grounds there is being done by Teamsters. And so does that mean the whole job is done we know it's done, it has to be done with prevailing wage. It doesn't necessarily have to be done with a company that is a unionized company because it's not public dollars.
Well, let me ask you a question. For the naysayers, being devil's advocate.
I'm a Democrat, and I'm pro-union Democrat.
Right.
But I'm realistic.
Well, I mean, there would be those who would say, but you're in the power to turn those away, money or no money, who don't want to do that, and bring in somebody that will do that.
Yeah, they're not there.
That's not
that's the problem.
That's not what he just
explained.
Explained
you're right.
why.
No, he knows what I'm talking about. That's what they say, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. That's the easy answer, right? Well, just say you don't want them, and you'll get someone else.
Yeah.
Problem is, when I say you don't want them, and I hear crickets.
Right.
Right. Because, and that's, but listen, our goal, obviously, is to get 100%. But it's not going to work that. It hasn't, put it this way. What Yonkers is doing right now, we are the only city in New York State that's doing it. Only one. No one has the highest standard that we are under right now. Nobody. There is no other city that has it. There might be some counties, and counties are a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about a city. There is no other city that has it. New York City doesn't have it. I mean, New York City right now is running at, I don't know, last figure I heard they're running like 70% of a private job is run by by organized labor, right? And so it's a wonderful idea. I get it. I understand why unions would push for it. I don't know how realistic it is to expect it to be 100%, though my job is to try to get it as close to 100% as I can, but at the same time, not scare away the developers from coming to Yonkers. When I came here, don't forget, we didn't have the deep pockets of developers. Mill Creek, RXR, Xtel, Avalon Bay, right? Those are the deep pockets. Not one of them was in Yonkers when I became mayor, and they're all here now, and they're all making investments. Xtel, for instance, will probably use union labor most of the time, but they won't use it all the time because they are going to negotiate with the union leaders and try to come up with a number that works for them.
Right.
Like I said, it's not as easy as it sounds. If you're a carpenter in the carpenters union, you're saying, you know what, don't give any tax money to anybody, that's 100%. Right. It sounds great. It really does. And like I said, and I'm a pro-union, and labor is how I got to this position.
Right.
But I know it's not the way the real world works.
Right.
And if not, de Blasio would have done it a long time ago.
Right.
It's not happening.
So when I deal with Yonkers, I have people that I go to. Lorraine is my go-to for Yonkers, so I know she has some questions.
No, I just wanted to talk about something positive. Steven Lopez just tuned in Lou Navarro, and Steven just reminded me when I saw his name that you combined the school football team. Am I correct? And can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. I mean, they're giving me a lot of credit for that, but that certainly was something that was done by the school district, and I was very much supportive of it. So I guess that's, if you support it, that's good, right? But what we did was they took 4 programs and created two teams, keeping 2 JVs, but having 2 varsity. Having 4 JVs and having 2 varsities. the Yonkers Braves and the Yonkers. What would the finest or Force? Yonkers Force.
Yonkers Force.
So, Yonkers Force, Yonkers Face. It's basically bringing the fire department and the PBA into our schools to kind of work with our kids a little bit. Our kids will feel identified with these groups, and they'll be able to compete statewide.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's because right now our talent's diluted amongst all the different schools, and if we have just 2 teams, it'll concentrate the talent a little more focused, and I think us give a better chance. Listen, the last time I saw a state championship, I went to Syracuse. It was 25 years ago. I went and watched David Goldberg, turn the whole game around in the second half, and that was under Coach Don DiMatteo, who is coaching Somers now, right? It's no, was it Don DiMatteo or was it his brother?
I think it was
Tony DiMatteo.
Tony.
It was Tony. Don DiMatteo, passed away, but his son is coaching now. He's coaching now in the Yonkers football. So it's great for Yonkers. I think it's going to be, like I said, our games will be much more competitive, and our kids are going to they're gonna love it because fans are going to show up. Right now we had Iona played Stepinac, and it's not unusual for them to get 5,000 people show up to these games.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're playing at a high level. Now half the kids from our city, but they're playing from they're playing at a high level. Well, now we're going to be able to compete the same way.
Okay, a couple of things. Louise Cherigo said, I applaud that. Yonkers needs more combining of resources. Ramsey Cow Para. Okay. Said Mayor Mike, you're the man. Thank you for all that you do for the city.
Well, that's very nice.
Hashtag
Thank you.
Yonkers Pride. And also put hashtag 4 more years. Gail Baxter has another question. She said the city entered into a settlement agreement with the DOJ a few years back related to the Yonkers Police Department. Now that the Trump administration is in charge, and as a result of Jeff Sessions throwing out the previous agreement with the DOJ, what is the status of the agreement, even though the YPD is continuing its community affairs efforts?
Yes, it's a good question. Nothing's changed. When I first got elected mayor, you all remember the Department of Justice came to Yonkers.
Yes.
It was investigating Yonkers for racial profiling, for being overly aggressive, and probably a number of other things, police brutality and all that. When I was here for 5 straight years, there were a number of things that were presented to me, from having a consent decree signed to having a court monitor come in and court-appointed monitor actually run our police department. We worked with the Department of Justice in those 5 years, and they were 100 different changes that they had suggested to the police department, and we made those changes. Not maybe not 100% of them, but a good 90-somewhat% of them were made. And what we did was we worked with the Department of Justice. We worked with the local community on how can we change the perception, how can we change how we do business, so that that you have this, because you can't really have a safe community if you don't have the community trusting those who given the power to serve and protect them.
Absolutely.
And so we and we did some simple things. They sound overly simplistic, but they were very powerful. Hector gave us that idea about stop and shake.
Hector
Yes.
And that was
idea.
a great idea. And you know what? And it was so accepted by the community and by the cops. So we had Stop and Shake. We have the Explorer program. We have our Community Affairs Division.
Coffee with a Cop.
Schools. Coffee with a Cop. These are the things that we did.
You have one of those coming up soon, right?
Yeah, we do. And so, we did that. We when there are community meetings, it's not unusual for the police commissioner to be there himself, not just a captain or a sergeant or a lieutenant. Where the police commissioner will come out and we will address people's needs right then and there, because they need to know that that their police department is there, willing to work and be on their side. The other thing, which I think is significant, is you want a police department that looks like your community. You know, Yonkers Police Department is about 8% white, and so it's not really reflective of what the community looks like. And so if you want, especially young men of color, to consider becoming a police officer, well, you need to have more people who look like them in the department so that they can emulate that, so they can say, I want that. And that was part of the Community Affairs Division, and some of our officers going to our schools, talking to our kids, talking to the 18-year-olds who are going to become 19 and telling them, you need to take the police test. And this last go-around, we had more men of color take the police test than ever in our history.
They even came on here. They
right.
came on here, and they were the only police department in Westchester County who actually took out a full-page ad about their test.
They did a wonderful job, and they've been very proactive. And you know what? You know what happened? After 5 years of blood, sweat, and tears, you know, the Justice Department came in and said, okay, you know what? We're done with our investigation. We're complimentary of what you guys have done and what you've done. We found they did not find any systemic racism in the department. They did think the department was somewhat aggressive. They were happy with the changes that we've made. There was no consent decree. There was no court monitor put in on our, but they will keep an eye on us.
Yes.
We know,
Yeah.
and we are going by the decisions that we made with the Justice Department, and those changes are still there. We're not changing them, and we're not looking to go back the other way. I mean, it's important, if you want the city to prosper and do well, the people that we're empowered to serve and protect have to trust the department, and I believe they have. Listen, there's been an 80% reduction in just in reports of police brutality, and or complaints, against our police department. That's a huge number.
That's a
huge number. So
well, I do give Commissioner Gardner credit. I've
He's
either
the greatest.
sponsored, supported, or covered several police community things around the county. And one of the first ones I did in Yonkers was in 2014 in the Riverfront Library. And he came, he answered all the tough questions, and he got a lot of tough questions. There was a lot of very dissatisfied people, and he didn't leave. I've had other commissioners, we won't even mention their municipalities, that didn't show. You know what I'm saying? Or left early, but he anytime I've tried to get in touch with his office for a comment or something, they've been pretty good with that. So
we need to have a proactive. You're right.
And with also the Yonkers Commissioner for a Day thing they just did for the young
for
man. That was beautiful. Shout out to Lorraine for setting that up. Yeah.
It's like I said, we're not perfect, but we strive to be, and you have to have a proactive department, a proactive government. If that means that everyone's got to feel like they're vested interest, and it trickles down. It trickles down. Most. I will tell you, I have 3 brothers who are police officers. I know that every day, more police officers, the majority of them, probably 99.9% of them, go out there, put the uniform on, and go out there and serve and protect. Then we have those we know who don't do the right thing.
Yeah, I've covered those stories.
We have to weed those guys out, because it's those guys who've given the rest of the departments.
Well, I know two that's
bad
got
name.
they're not there no more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you know what? And I will stand up for my department, but I will not stand up for anyone who chooses to disrespect the public and not hold themselves in the type of treat the public the way they're supposed to be. There's a tremendous amount of power being a police officer.
Absolutely.
And you cannot abuse that power. And if you do, you won't be part of this department.
Like I was not a big fan of Janet DeFio, and usually she does not indict police officers. But the 2 that were falsifying search warrant affidavits, they didn't get real time. They got week in jail, but they still got removed from the police department.
That's right. And we moved very, very quickly in that.
Yeah.
At least as quickly as the law would allow us to.
I followed that. I've talked to your office. I talked to Gardner's office. Real quick.
This is funny. This is funny. Maria Ramlakan.
Oh, I was just reading that. You read it.
It says, thanks, Mayor, for what you do. I'm not from Yonkers, but I might as well B, I spend most of my time there. Haha.
And,
See, that's good. You got people from outside wanting to come to Yonkers.
And I want to give a couple of shout outs. Councilman Andre Wallace, Mount Vernon Councilman Andre Wallace is listening. He's tuned in.
Andre, how's it going?
Mount Vernon City Court Judge Agent Armstrong is tuned in. There was a few other people I didn't get to before. Stephen Lewis of Atlantic Star is tuned in. And yes, Stephen, I talked to somebody earlier. We definitely want to have you come in whatever Sunday it is before the event. I think that would be next Sunday. If you're available to come in at 6:30, we need you to come in the studio and talk about the event, about them, dedicating the street to y'all in the celebration concert that you're doing. If you can come in, let me know. We would love to have you come in. Who else? Marvin Church, I said already. Gail Baxter, I read her comment. There's a few other people. I don't see your name now. I did. Oh, Kimberly Green. She said hi. And everybody else was tuned in. Just yeah. Also, now coming kind of not exactly to the end of the show, but coming close to the end of the show, I wanted to give you an opportunity if there's anything we didn't ask you that you want people to know about you, about Yonkers, about what y'all are doing, any initiatives that are coming up. I mean, if people have questions,
how to
like you
reach
guys asked
address. Yeah, if the residents want to, some have asked questions, but if they need to address certain things. Oh, before that, I want to also give you a compliment too. Lorraine had brought a situation to me. A gentleman, Omi Medina, he was going through a situation, a housing situation. They asked me to get involved. I dealt with Disabled on the Move and constituent services and stuff. And while I wasn't there, I was told that either your office or your family members who have a restaurant or something supplied them with food and stuff like that while they were going through that. And I definitely wanted to applaud you personally because, I was following up on everything until they got what they needed. And then, so I know you.
There was Jamie and Vinny.
Yeah. I know your family and your office was involved at some point too.
Nice.
So.
They went above and beyond.
So, I mean, I stayed on everybody. Family. I was kind of rough on, I apologize, I was kind of rough on a few people, but
that's all right.
it got done though. So, I try
to tell people that, we have tough jobs and people, people have to put a lot of pressure on us from time to time. And sometimes, I feel like every so often someone will come to me and say, I was really rough. I'm sorry, I apologize. And I go, you don't have to apologize. That's my job, is to take it. I get it. And I don't take it personal, and I don't, because it's, at the end of the day, it's, we're all just trying to,
right.
We're all just trying to get by, trying to make it work. And, thanks for the compliment to my family. I'm one of 16 children. So Vinny's the youngest. He's the baby.
Hi, Vinny.
Married to Jamie, and Vinny is a brat sometimes, but he's the best. He's the best guy in the whole world. But I have 14 other just like him, and who are willing to, at a moment's notice, say, my sister Eleanor might call, or Joanne say, we have so and so. They're not really having a Christmas. Can we kind of pool some money together and let's take care of Christmas for them, or do that? And it's not something that we go out and advertise, but it's just something that.
Well, that's why I would say everybody didn't know that you did that, and I knew.
We're fortunate, and we know that, and like I said, I have 15 best friends with my 15 brothers and sisters, and I have another, potential best friends with the in-laws. So I don't, sometimes we like them, sometimes we don't.
Well, family members, that's what it is. I want to say,
always like my brothers and sisters. The in-laws I like most of the time.
So you'll like this.
Just kidding, guys.
So you'll like this. Stephen Lewis from Atlantic Star. One, he said, thank you, AJ, and he said, yes, he'll be here next week. But then he said a portion of the proceeds from their celebration concert will benefit the sharing community in Yonkers. He said, let the mayor know.
Excellent.
Yeah, so.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, homelessness is one of the main issues that really are affecting, especially cities. When the state of New York did what they call deinstitutionalization, they decided that they had, at that time, I think they had 21,000 people in facilities that were remanded there, right? And then they emptied these facilities and said, we're going to give people community-based care. you know, they can go back home. We'll get them housing. We'll make sure they're on their meds. We'll make sure that they get the services they're supposed to get. And then, not long after that, the economy crashed, and there were cuts. Lots of not-for-profits took the cuts. They've never been restored. Cuts across the board. And what really got cut? All these community-based services that were there providing services to people who suffer from mental illness. And now, you know, we have this huge number of homelessness out there that has to be addressed. And it has to be across the board. It cannot be all in one block, in one area. It has to be spread out a little bit. And that's, you know, what we've been working on with the county.
So here's a different kind of a question. So Mayor Spano, how do you deal with being married to a TV celebrity? CBS New York anchor Marie, how you pronounce it?
Cowley.
Cowley.
And it says, "Go Maria, go Mary, you're the best." Hashtag. Yeah. So that's from Gail Baxter.
You know, Mary is a broadcast journalist, and she's very, very talented. She's been doing it for over close to 25 years. She's on CBS in the morning, CBS at 12. You know, see her, like you said, from 4:30 to 7. If you're up that early, every Monday to Friday, and from 12 to 12:30. Not that I'm giving her an advertisement, but that's just stating the fact. But you know, she's I usually when I go out, people want to talk to her, not me. So we even had dinner last week, and somebody walked in the restaurant and took his chair and turned it opposite me and said, "I just need to talk to your wife real quick." You know? And I was like, "Well, why don't you have a seat? You want a drink, or what do you want?" You know. So, I'll tell you something that isn't out yet. She wrote a book.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, she wrote a book. And matter of fact, you'll be the first ones. Well, I probably should be saying it, but I'll say it anyway. She wrote a book because it is out there. Mary Phillips, right? Phillips Manor Hall, had a relationship with George Washington. So Mary wrote a book where she has talked about that relationship, and in her opinion, according to that book, that relationship was much more than what history has led us to believe.
I've heard about
and
that.
And
just recently,
she wrote a wonderful book that's coming out Valentine's Day, coming out Valentine's Day in February, and it's right now. You probably could read about it in some blogs, but
right. Well, I heard about it.
Isn't out.
Yeah.
The book isn't entirely out, but it is something that kind of portrays Yonkers in a really cool way when it comes to the father of our nation.
Well, I would like to extend an invitation if she ever wants to come on here and talk about her book when it's closer to coming out.
I'm sure she would want to.
Yeah, we definitely would like to have her. Welcome, Sean Patterson Howard. She said, "Hey, Mayor Spano, thank you for all your support and partnership." And Edgar Santana said, "Under Mike's leadership,
Mike's
leadership, we renamed for the first time in New York State, named a school after Cesar E. Chavez. It was a great day for the Latino community in Yonkers as a whole."
I'm going to write about that actually
Right.
for Black Rochester magazine coming up in the October issue. So Edgar, I'm going to be getting in contact with you.
And Edgar was with
for
me
some
when
information.
we went to the Mexican flag raising this past Sunday at City Hall. And I'm telling you, the Mexican community in Yonkers actually had an extra skip in their step. I mean, there was more people showed up to this flag raising at City Hall than I've ever seen for any other flag raising for the Mexican community, and the pride, because there's a recognition of somebody's who maybe looks a little bit like them, or their name sounds a little bit like theirs, and there's so many wonderful leaders in this wonderfully diverse world that we live in, and we need to kind of honor, all of them, not just a few. And so, this was a
first
time.
Day
for Yonkers.
This is a history-making moment. It was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Kudos to Edgar and Steve and Judy and the entire Board of Trustees, because they are really the ones who made this reality. I was very encouraging of them doing this. I'm glad that they did it, and like I said, it lifts the spirits of an entire community. Yonkers still has a large and growing Latino community, this is just a recognition of their place, really, in that community.
Cool. I just want to say, and also to the whole Latino community, yesterday was the beginning of National Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th to October 15th. So congratulations. And to everybody as far as that's concerned. I'm sure there'll be a whole lot of celebrations. And I went to the one last year that was at the, what was it at? Where you took
Rancho Grande.
Yeah, there you go.
I went to,
yeah. Met Willie Colon. Who featured in that issue last year. So I just want to I want to thank you for coming, and hopefully you'll come back.
Yeah, sure.
Because most people say, "Oh, don't go there, don't go there." So I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I did. And
he's amongst
friends.
friends.
I know that when because we talked about it earlier. If it was something I'd like to just touch on real quick.
Absolutely.
You talked about the budget and the potential cuts and all that. Like I said, nobody really wants to be in a position to cut services. And one of the reasons why I pushed hard for us to solve that budget problem, which included a tax increase, was because a community's bankruptcy is usually preceded by social bankruptcy. When people say, "Well, what is social bankruptcy?" Social bankruptcy is when you cut the things that matter most to a community. You cut, the African Day Parade and Festival. You cut the Columbus Day, parade. You cut the street fairs, the movie nights. You cut the libraries. You cut the sports and the arts programs in the schools. Those are the things that get cut before you cut police and fire. You cut when you go to real bankruptcy. And so I've always said that one of the great things about Yonkers is that you get the ability to do these things. And so I didn't want to participate in the social bankruptcy, but I do need to impress upon everyone involved, and that's just New York State, where we say give us our fair share, but to the taxpayers, which we know are always getting socked one way or the other.
Mount Vernon has that problem too,
right.
with the state.
And when I deal with my labor leaders, they get a little mad at me sometimes because I'll say, you know what, guys, we have to figure this out, and you need to be a part of that solution. Now, when I say that, they all get, what do you mean? That means we're giving something up. Well, you know what? It means you're going to be part of the solution. And I'm lucky to have, a tremendous leaders in the labor force in Yonkers. Well, they're tough, and they go toe to toe with you, and you think you pushing back on them? No, they push back doubly hard on you, But I know that their job is to look out for their men and women. My job is to look out for the whole pie, the holistic view of the entire city of Yonkers, which includes them, by the way.
Right.
But it has to be everybody. And so, like I said, I don't. Sometimes you might hear that there's animosity or there's a fight between the mayor and the.
Oh, I get those calls all the time.
And the firemen and this one. There isn't really. It's what it is the push and the tug. It's a push and a push back of me trying to do what I can.
When those cuts were supposed to happen,
myself.
I got so many calls from Yonkers.
Oh, of course. And you know what? And that's the last thing I wanted, because
they all wanted to come on the show. They were supposed to be a whole show.
Happen.
Because what the governor came through at the last minute or something, or whatever
Well,
happened.
you know what? We did get a few million from the state, but at the end of the day, we raised property taxes 6.2%.
Right.
And now we don't have the issue. But we still have, again, we'll have next year, the fund will start on the Board of Education side, because they use the fund balance. And so we're going to have to try to figure out how we're going to solve that.
Right.
But you know what? Like I tell everybody, we'll get through it. You'll never hear me talk about layoffs, and I think last year was the first time I talked about layoffs, unless I need to talk about layoffs. Every year prior to me being mayor, you'd heard about layoffs. We're going to lay off 100 people. We're going to lay off. Even when we had the $55 million hole, I never once said we were laying off people. The people, they kept on saying to me, well, what does that mean? I said, you know what? What I want to do is I want to advocate first, and I'm still in the world of advocacy. That means I'm going to Albany trying to figure out a way to fix the problem. If I talk about layoffs, that means we've given up on our advocacy. We can't get what we get. So we try to load the drama, try to get through it, but sometimes as hard as you try, there's still is going to be that little push and tug, but it's all meant. I think that's where our founding fathers and mothers.
Barry and Ken fight for their organizations well.
They do.
I've heard from both of them. What's the guy?
They're good at what they do.
What's the guy? Lionel from the CS.
Lionel's
Yeah, the three of them pushed that. I know you got your hands full with the three of them.
Yeah, no, they're great union leaders, and I sometimes I wish I had them negotiating for the city side. It'd be good.
I don't know what that means. Gloria M. Dorsey said, "I am here." Does that mean in here, like here? Or just listening?
No.
Okay.
Just
well, okay, I just wondered because I thought maybe somebody was standing outside. Any last words as we come to the close of the show?
Wait, let me just tell him Stella Kane, Sheffield, Stella,
yep.
Cicely Greaves, and Neighbor Cisco McLaughlin are tuning in.
And also shout out to Tanya Connors, William Taylor, my partner in my rap group, Cicely Greaves, Jennifer Carpenter, and of course Gloria M. Dorsey, and everybody else who tuned in. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Did you have any last words or?
No, you know what? I think I just want to say thanks. I actually feel that I haven't been on the show. This is a good show.
I hope
See, you're amongst friends.
I hope this is not the last time. And if I invite the heads of all the municipalities. If there's issues that you want to address and you want to get the word out, we're here for you. You know what I mean?
We've had all the legislators and elected officials here. We had just last week we had Andrea Biaggi and Tish James.
Oh, last week's show,
Three of them
and
came
they all
in
won.
last week, and
they all won. They made us look good. Yeah.
That is good.
We had the week before election day. We had George Latimer was here as well.
Before,
We've had Jomani Williams.
Yeah.
We've had them all.
Oh,
now
wow.
we can say we had the mayor.
Yeah. You would, because we've had Norm's been here. Norm's been here twice. New Rochelle.
Oh, really?
When we first started. Ernie's been here.
I can't let
and
Norm
Rich.
get a leg up on me.
Now you
Ernie's
can tell
been
Tommy
here.
Meyer is good. He can come.
Paul Finer's been here a couple of times.
Paul Finer's been here
said
several
on the show.
times, and he actually writes a column, the Greenberg Report for Black Westchester.
Paul Finer, he's talking about.
Ernie Davis was here towards his way out. Richard Thomas was here in the early days. You know what I'm saying? So we've had
Ernie Davis and Herman Keith both served my father on the board of legislators.
First two
Nice.
African Americans in the
and they my dad he's 88 years old. God bless him. He's like a Timex man. He just takes a lick.
God bless him, really, yes.
Kimberly Soki Socks is that Sok SOWK KEY. She said, "I love what's happening in the city, and to have someone who actually cares about it." And Sean Patterson Howard says it's a great forum to discuss the issues. I guess that was
Sean.
time you come.
Sean, who's Mount Vernon native,
yes,
but works in our wonderful city of Yonkers, and is a really good friend and somebody that I really admire. She does such a great job. She really does, and she's a great partner because we can partner with things in our community and try to get some work done. And just want to give a shout out to Sean Patterson Howard, my friend.
Absolutely. Tasha, any last words?
I'm glad that you stopped by. We're not new. We know each other. Yes, you know the girls. He's good. He's good at what he does. And a lot of people say, what does the mayor do? But he doesn't know what's going on unless you call him. People need to know. You got to pick up the phone. You got to be vocal. You got to speak.
Watch the news.
Exactly.
He'll tell you.
His doors are always open.
Any last words, Lorraine?
No, I just want to thank you and say it's an honor and a blessing to have you, and
Thanks, Lorraine.
I'm really glad that you came by, and I hope AJ didn't ask you too many hard questions.
No, you guys are great, but it's
I tried to mix
public
them up a little
service
bit.
is a great calling for people who want to do it, and it comes where you have to kind of be tough a little bit, right? But
yeah.
But I think, like you said, if you just always remember that people's perspective is that they're usually just trying to do the right thing, whether it be by themselves or for their community.
You had a lot of people listening like Gail and Barry, and they was going to make sure that I asked the right questions, so they was going to ask it. But I thank you for coming. Like I said, anytime, something going on in Yonkers, you want to come, please. If get in touch with me on Facebook or contact Lorraine. We'll definitely have you back. And also, if you want to contribute anything to the paper about Yonkers or something, like I said, just what's going on. Like I said, Paul Feiner does a monthly column called the Greenberg Report.
Awesome.
And then every now and then
for Black Westchester Magazine.
Right. And every now and then Peekskill Mayor Andre Rainey, he writes something for about what's going on in Peekskill or whatever. So
thanks.
to help get the word
we can
out.
put something together.
Yeah,
I'd love to do that.
So what's today? By next Friday would be I would need it by next Friday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right,
like 500, at least 500 words or something about the city. Yeah, and
That's
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we do weekly online.
I get that
newsletter.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get
But
I get
we
the
do
email
something
blast. I
that's-
get the email. I get your email blast. Yeah, I
So
get that.
that's-
Yeah.
Luis Jericho said thank you, Mayor Spano, and Joe Pinion is listening.
Oh, shout out to Joe Pinion. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is Black Westchester presents People Before Politics every Sunday, 6 to 8 on INTHEMIXXRADIO.com. Until next week, peace. 2 seconds.
Peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.